Welcome to Nexatunes Insights, the podcast for independent artists and labels who want to stay one step ahead in today's music business. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm joined by a charming co-host. Together, we dive into the trends, challenges, and real stories shaping the industry today. Did you know there are millions of dollars in music royalties sitting unclaimed right now, simply because artists don't have a simple identification number? It's like having a winning lottery ticket, but no way to cash it in.
That's fascinating, and honestly pretty concerning when you think about how many independent artists are probably missing out on their earnings. How does something like that even happen?
Well, it all comes down to something called an IPI number, Interested Party Information. Think of it as your musical social security number. Without it, the global royalty system basically can't see you, even if your music is being played everywhere.
So what happens to all those royalties when they can't find their rightful owner?
They end up in what the industry calls a black box, basically a holding account for unclaimed funds. And here's what's wild. Sometimes these royalties even get distributed to the wrong person, usually someone with a similar name, just because the system is trying to match payments to creators.
That's actually pretty scary when you think about how many John Smiths must be out there making music.
Exactly. And here's a real-world example that really drives this home. I recently heard about this indie artist who had their song used in a viral YouTube video that got millions of views. But because they didn't have an IPI number, they couldn't claim any of those publishing royalties.
You know what's interesting about this whole system? How it connects to every single way music gets used. From streaming, to radio, to that song playing in your local coffee shop.
Oh yeah, the scope is massive. Every time your song gets played anywhere in the world, whether it's a radio station in Tokyo, a cafe in Paris, or a streaming platform in Brazil, that play generates royalties. But without an IPI number, you're essentially invisible to that whole global network.
Let's break down who actually needs one of these numbers, because I think there might be some confusion about that.
Sure thing. If you write lyrics, compose melodies, co-write songs, or want to collect royalties from any kind of public performance or sync licensing, you need an IPI number. And here's the thing, getting one is actually pretty straightforward. You just register with your local performance rights organization.
And these organizations would be different depending on where you live, right?
Exactly. In Germany, you go through GEMA. In France, it's SACEM. In the US, you've got options with BMI or ASCAP. And in the UK, it's PRS for music. And here's a crucial point. You don't need to wait until you've released something to get registered. In fact, you should do it before you put anything out there.
That makes so much sense. It's like getting insurance before you need it, not after the accident happens.
And speaking of accidents, let's talk about metadata, because this is where things often go wrong. Poor metadata is actually one of the biggest reasons royalties go unpaid in the music industry. Your IPI number needs to be included everywhere, when submitting tracks to distributors, registering compositions, negotiating sync licenses.
Well, that really brings home why this matters so much in today's digital music industry. How much does it typically cost to get an IPI number?
That's one of the best parts. It's either free or very low cost, depending on your country. The real cost comes from not having one. We're talking about potentially thousands in missed royalties, especially if your track gains any kind of traction.
You know what I find particularly fascinating about all this? How the system has evolved from paper contracts and manual tracking to today's digital ecosystem.
Oh yeah, and with billions of streams happening every day across countless platforms, the volume of data is staggering. Without proper identification through your IPI number, your songs are basically invisible to the systems handling all these royalty payments.
That really puts it in perspective. Such a small administrative detail can have such huge financial implications.
And that's really the bottom line here. If you're creating music, get your IPI number. Don't wait, don't put it off. It's one of the simplest yet most important steps you can take to protect your rights and ensure you get paid for your work. Because in an industry that can be really complicated and sometimes unfair, this is one thing you can actually control.
That's such a perfect way to wrap this up. Create great music, but don't forget to protect it.
Exactly right. Your music deserves to be heard, and you deserve to be paid for it. And it all starts with that simple IPI number. That's it for today's episode of Nexatunes Insights. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends in the industry. You can find more insights, articles, and resources on blog.nexatunes.com. Until next time, stay creative, stay independent.